Here to discuss her favorite Olympic moment is former Canadian Olympic rower. Yay, Sarah Chaudhery. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to 700 Club Canada again.
Yes. Hi, Lorie. Thanks for having me back. And thanks for saying that rowing was your favorite sport.
Well, you know what? Not just for you. I seriously love it. And I wish I, would have had that skill. But as you look back on your time, Sarah, in the Olympics, tell us about the highlight of that experience.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about this, and if I had to pick kind of two moments, I'd say we had to go through a late Olympic qualifier, which was the most stressful thing I've ever done in my whole life. And we didn't qualify for the Olympics until 2 months before.
Wow.
But the moment we crossed that finish line and we actually won that qualifier, we knew that we were going to the Olympics with that exact group of 9 women, and that was
wow.
Such elation, right, that we felt.
Sure.
And then I'd say the second moment was walking into the stadium. I went to the Beijing Olympics in 2008, and there were, I think, 91,000 people in the stands at that time. And I just remember walking in, and it was so surreal and thinking, like, I've never seen this many people in one place ever in my life, and I probably never will again. And that was just the highlight, I'd say, of the whole games for me.
You know what? I've wondered what that would have felt like. I bet you it's pretty spectacular, that moment, walking into that stadium and all these people and all these countries, right? Like, what a beautiful thing. The opening ceremonies have to be one of my favorite moments, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wrote a book. This is so cool, called The Justified Jock. I love the title. You say it's for every person who's struggled to find the balance between being a Christian and being an athlete. So how has your faith impacted your life in sports?
Yeah, well, I'd have to say for me, it was almost the reverse of that question. It was my life in sport that then impacted my faith in Christ. And, God really used sport to bring me back to my faith. And by the time I'd made the national team and later the Olympic team, the daily grind of it was so fierce and so hard that I literally was relying on God's strength just to get me through every day. And I had a few Christian teammates when I moved to London, Ontario, which is where the team used to train, and started going to church again regularly. And I'd have to say God's really brought me on a faith journey through the 2008 Olympics and then through my experience trying out the 2012 Olympics as well. And that's really what the book's about. It was really a passion project. It was a calling. And God asked me to write it right before the 2016 games. And that's when it was released at that time. And I think there's a lot of tension of being the best and that fierceness to compete with who Christ calls us to be as a servant and a follower of him.
Yeah, well, man, I can't imagine how grueling it is, Sarah. And I can imagine you need to depend a lot on God to get through. Any athlete has to perform at such a high level. So that's really beautiful that God used sport to bring you really back to himself. Today you've got 2 kids. That's so awesome. And you still love sports. And you're passionate about biking. That's so cool. And you've even competed both, right? Mountain biking circuit and as a tandem biker pilot. Okay, I have to say, tandem biking, that is amazing to me. And it's in the parasport events with one of your best friends who's blind. Please tell us about that. That seems amazing.
Yes. Well, I would say make sure you check out the Paralympics that are going to be up next, because amazing athletes, everyone has an amazing story. My friend Victoria Nolan and I we met around the Beijing Games in 2008. That was the first time rowing was a Paralympic sport, and she was in the Coxed 4, and she also rowed in 2012, and then we both retired at that point. And she found out that we both lived kind of close together, and so she asked me if I would join her for a charity ride on the tandem, and neither of us really had a lot of experience on it. And I remember the very first ride, we were on it together, and I was really nervous that I was going to, dump this bike with both of us on it in traffic.
Right. And yeah, exactly.
I said to her, "Are there any cars coming?" And she just automatically went, "No." And then I biked out into traffic, forgetting that she couldn't see.
Oh,
She
no.
forgot she couldn't see, and so we still laugh about that to this
Oh my
day.
goodness, that's hilarious.
But I have to say, and actually, Vicky then went on. They called her back, and she's actually competing in this Olympics in her fourth Paralympics.
Wow.
But getting to be part of her life and get to know her really well, I'd have to say it's really opened my eyes to a lot of injustices that people with disabilities face even today, and the constant need for advocacy. And even though I'm an occupational therapist now and it's my job, just seeing this through a friend's eyes has really changed my life. And I hope it's made me a better OT, but also, a better friend and an ally.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And but what an inspiration! I gotta look for her.
Yeah.
In coming up in the games. Okay, we just have a few seconds here, but could you share some encouragement with our viewers regarding the role of sports and what they can play in our life?
Sure. Well, I think the lifelong journey I've been on with sport is that with whatever it is that we love to do, we have to remember that it's not our success that defines us. It's who we are in Christ that defines us. And my story has highs, but it also has lows. I didn't make the 2012 team. I was cut from the team about 2 months before they left for London, and then they won a silver medal.
Wow.
And since then, God has given me so many opportunities to talk to people about overcoming disappointment in their lives.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to be even able to acknowledge my own disappointment and realize that that was part of God's story for me. And whatever you've been through, whatever you're going through, wherever you are in your life right now, God is going to use that. And he knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And he's going to use that through you to reach people that are in a similar situation.
Yeah,
So for me,
that's good.
sports haven't been a platform. They've become an open door to connect me to people that I never would have been connected for at that, time in
Yeah.
my life.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is such an encouraging word. Well, thank you, Sarah, for being with us. And to find out more about Sarah, go to 700club.ca. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for having me. Go Canada.
Go Canada.